that you have. So now let's talk about Scorpio. Scorpio is symbolized by the scorpion. And we actually find more information about the scorpion. So, the scorpion lives in a hole, exposed to water, bristles abounding and very sharp pointed. So these are the qualities that Parashara attributes to the scorpion, right? They show where the scorpion lives, and they give us also more idea about actually the body of the scorpion as well. So the scorpion is said to have bristles. Insects have those little hairs, and the Scorpio has them two on the legs to sense air currents, right? Therefore, Scorpio people are extremely sensitive and perceptive, right? They notice things that are changing around them, right? They notice the vibration of things more than any other sign. They have sort of this warning system that is very advanced, okay? The minute those bristles feel a change in air current, then the scorpion can detect it and notice it, and then they can react to it. They can hide or whatever they need to do, but they're they have this warning system that something in the environment is there, okay? And that is very typical actually to all the insects, right? They have these bristles. Scorpio is also sharp-pointed. We don't like to step on a sharp-pointed object, right? We try to avoid things that are sharp, right? That's why we don't like to get close to cactuses or scorpions, right? Because they have these sharp, pointed things, and they can of course hurt us. And so the sharp pointed quality of Scorpio signals to us basically that we shouldn't mess with it. Okay. That also shows that it is not aggressive, right? It just says, don't mess with me, right? If you sit on me, right, you get hurt. If you step on me, you get hurt. And that's the quality of Scorpio. Scorpions, okay, they usually do not attack, and basically just run around crazy and just trying to sting everyone and hurt everyone. The stinger is just there to say that, look, if you mess with me, then you will get hurt because I have something that is very sharp and painful, right? And so what they're really trying to tell you is that when you see them, you better stay away from them, okay? And this is also the Scorpio energy. It sort of creates that energy that you better stay away from them, okay? And people with a strong Scorpio influence in their horoscope, you can tell that, you better don't want to mess with them, right? These people, you can feel their energy that they don't allow themselves to get pushed around, right? They have that vibration that alerts you, that look, I'm dangerous, don't mess with me, otherwise you get into trouble. And that's why you see this many times with martial artists or even boxers. When they have the Scorpio energy, you can notice that energy quite quickly, right? Because you just don't want to mess with them, otherwise you're just gonna get badly hurt, and so you better just stay out of their way. Now scorpions have those bristles, and they are, sensitive, and that's what, that allows them basically to be alert to the environment, right? But those bristles, that also allows them to basically be in tune with the environment around them, right? So that they can react accordingly. Now, that of course allows them to be aware of danger, but they can also be aware of good things too, right? This gives, of course, Scorpio the ability to be very much in tune with other people's feelings and what their real motivations are. Therefore, it's really hard actually to con a Scorpio, right? If you got healthy planets in Scorpio, other people, they just cannot trick or scam you, right? You will see right through, their behavior, okay? You've got that sixth sense, and, you have sort of that, this intuitive alertness to protect yourself. Now, we usually think of scorpions more of sort of a desert creature, but Parasha tells us that they are fine in water and on land. They can live in both places. When they are exposed in water, they spend time processing and healing all their emotional wounds, and when they move on land, then they sort of try to find a concrete place to make their life happen. So Scorpio focuses on both the emotional and material aspects of life. They try to find the material situation that fulfills their emotional needs, right? The other two water signs, Cancer and Pisces, they're not so much concerned actually with their concrete life as long as their emotional life is good. But Scorpio, even if their emotional needs are taken care of, they want to have a solid material life too, right? They want both. They want a solid place in the world, and they want to be emotionally fulfilled, right? So they pay a lot of attention to their needs. And this makes a Scorpio person really high maintenance, right? If you're dating a Scorpio person, you can't just appease them with material things, the way you can do with your standard, land dwelling sign, and just be satisfied, sort of with what you got. And you can't appease them with just, the right words and emotional connection, right? Scorpio needs both, right? And for that reason, Scorpio has a reputation of having difficulties in relationships because they have a lot of requirements so that they can be satisfied. But the unique quality about Scorpio is, if it doesn't get what it needs, it can happily just live in a hole, okay? It can't just do its own thing and disappear down the hole. As long as it's feeling safe, and it can hide in a place where it's not going to get messed with, it's going to be just fine. Ultimately, what's most important for Scorpio is to feel safe, right? That's why it lives in a hole, it's sharp, and it has those bristles, okay? Those three things make Scorpio feel safe, right? The bristles are there to alert them to danger and motions around them. The stinger keeps them from, getting attacked or stepped on, and living in a hole that keeps them sort of hidden and safe. And safety is really the primary concern of Scorpio, right? Scorpio is going to choose safety over everything else, basically. Now, although Scorpio also lives on the land, it is a water sign, and safety means really being in a place where emotionally they are not attacked, right? When people wear, let's say, black leather jackets, with like spikes on them, or they have this punk, spiky haircut, that's, Scorpio energy, and they're saying, don't mess with me, right? When a person adds, spikes to their appearance, they're basically saying, I'm in this, Scorpio mode, and you better stay away from me, right? They want to look a little dangerous so that you don't, dare attacking them. And for them, it is really all about that sort of safety that they want to create for themselves. And that's why they look a certain way, right? So it's really all about safety for Scorpio. Especially, they want to be emotionally safe. And when Scorpio gets threatened emotionally, then they retreat into their hole. And that's what makes it hard for them to actually get all their emotional needs met. They tend to just escape into their solitude. But when Scorpio is healthy, when they are in that hole, then they're going through that process of purging, right? They're going to purge, their painful past. They transform and then they come back out as a better version of themselves, right? They go into that hole of pain and then they come out with less pain. And so if Scorpio is unhealthy, of course, then the person doesn't have that ability, right? They can't change their bad habits, right? And they won't come out better, right? Rather, they end up maybe drinking a lot of alcohol or do other things to numb the painful feelings and forget about their past.